Well, I am Professor C.S. P. Rao, Professor of Mechanical Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Warangal. In this class, it is the second part of the Computer Integrated Manufacturing series lectures. Let us discuss the automation, the levels of automation in manufacturing, how automation is introduced, what is automation, and what is called as semi-automated systems, and how automation affects the manufacturing, the various levels of automation, and finally the flexible automation and other things. Let us discuss in detail. The basic elements of an automated system: advanced automation functions, levels of automation, process industries, discrete manufacturing industries, continuous and discrete control, computer process control. All these things we would cover in this class. Automation defined as it is the technology by which a process or a procedure is accomplished without human assistance. The basic elements of an automated system: 1 is power, 2 program of instructions, 3 is control system. Power is required to accomplish the process and operate the automated system. Program of instructions to direct the process, control system to accurate the instructions. In a typical schematic, we can say this is the entire automated system and elements of automated system to control the process, power, control system, program of instructions that are required. The sourcing of power. The principal power source is electricity. It is widely available at moderate cost and can be readily converted to various alternative forms: mechanical, thermal, light, etc. Low level power can be used for signal transmission, data processing and communication, can be stored in long life batteries. The power to accomplish the automated processes, power for the processes to drive the process itself, to load and unload the work unit, transport between the operations. Power for automation is power required for control unit, power to accurate the control signal, data acquisition and information processing. Set of commands that specify the sequence of steps in the work cycle and details of each steps is the program of instructions. Examples: a CNC part program is a program or set of instructions that do the machining operation. During each step, there are one or more activities involving changes in one or more process parameters. Examples are temperature setting of a furnace, axis position in a positioning system, motor on and off. Is there any decision making in a programmed work cycle? The following are examples of automated work cycles in which decision making is required: operator interactions, automated teller machines, different part or product styles processed by the system, robotic welding cycle for 2-door or 4-door car models, variations in the starting work unit, additional machining pass for oversized sand casting. Features of a work cycle program: number of working steps in each work cycle, manual participation in the work cycle, loading and unloading of work parts, process parameters, how many must be controlled, operator interaction, does the operator enter the processing data, etc. Variation in part or product styles, variations in starting works units, some adjustments in process parameters may be required to compensate for differences in starting units. Closed loop control system, a system in which the output variable is compared with an input parameter and any difference between the two is used to drive the output into agreement with the input. Open loop control system operates without the feedback loop. Simpler and expensive, that is, actuator will not have the intended effect. And let us you see these figures which indicate the schema of open loop control system and the closed loop control system. In a open loop control system, there is no feedback signal and feedback sensor is not required, and the process doesn't have any control the uncontrollable things. If the process does not attain the output targeted set value, and there is no correction element here. Whereas in the closed loop system, there is a feedback sensor and the feedback signal is always given to the controller unit where correction is done. A system in which the output variable is compared with an input parameter, and any difference between the two is used to drive the output into agreement with the input. Open loop control system operates without the feedback loop, which is simpler and less expensive. Risk that the actuator will not have the intended effect. See, this is the figure for that. And one axis position control system consisting of a lead screw driven by a DC servo motor and using an optical encoder as the feedback sensor. In this system, if you use it, the motor will execute the input value. Input value to the motor is number of pulses that are to be translated, to be given to the in terms of number of rotations that are required by the lead screw. The motor will be able to receive the signal from the controller in PWM model, and it executes that. While executing it, the rotor motion is been converted into linear motion of the work table because of the lead screw and nut arrangement, and the actual position of the work table will always be measured by an optical encoder. The encoder will give back the controller the position attained, and any difference between the position set to the position attained will be given as an error, and the error will be compensated. Actions performed by the control systems are simple. Actuating functions is very reliable. When to use an open loop control system? Actions performed by the control system are simple, and actuating function is very reliable, or any reaction forces opposing the actuation are small enough as to have no effect on the actuation, and if these conditions do not apply, then a closed loop control system should be used. Advanced automation functions are: in automation system, safety monitoring is important. Maintenance and repairing diagnostics is also part of it. And error detection and recovery are functions of automation systems. What is the safety monitoring? Use of sensors to track the system's operation and identify conditions that are unsafe or potentially unsafe. Reasons for safety monitoring is to protect the workers and equipment, possible responses to hazards, complete stoppage of the system, and sounding an alarm, reducing operation speed of the process, taking corrective action to recover from the safety violation. Maintenance and repair diagnostics, in which status monitoring is important, and status monitoring is monitors and records status of key sensors and parameters using system operations. Failure diagnostics invoke when a malfunction occurs. Purpose is to analyze the recorded values so the cause of the malfunction can be identified. Recommendation of repair procedure provides the system should provide a recommendation procedure for the repair crew to effect repairs. All these systems you can see in an aircraft cockpit where the entire thing is done, where safety monitoring is given top priority. Error detection and recovery. Error detection functions include use the system's available sensors to determine when a deviation or malfunction has occurred, correctly interpret the sensor signal, classify the error. Error recovery possible strategies: make adjustment at end of work cycle, make adjustments during current work cycle, stop the process to invoke corrective action, stop the process and call for help. Let us see the levels of automation. You can have at the different levels of automation, or you can implement the automation at different levels. The one is device level. Actuators, sensors and other hardware components to form individual control loops for the next level. This kind of automation is called as device level automation. Next is machine level. CNC machine tools and similar production equipment, industrial robots, they're all automated equipment they are all machine level automated equipment. Cell or system level, if you take a cellular manufacturing or a machine manufacturing cell, several CNC machine tools and robots are being automated, and this is called as cell level automation. Then plant level automation, the entire factory, which includes the manufacturing of facilities and factory with the input and output, factory or production systems, other things. Enterprise level automation. Corporate information system is also included along with plant level, cell level and machine level, device level. Top level of the automation is enterprise level automation. In this figure you can see the different levels of automation. Device level is the lowest level and enterprise level is the highest level. The level of automation indicates the level of complexity and costs also. Initial cost is also involved here. So sensors, actuators and other things falls here. Then machines, here machine level, manufacturing cell, production system, and then total manufacturing facility is enterprise level. We can now have the automation in manufacturing systems. We have also already discussed certain manufacturing concepts in the first lecture, and in this lecture also there are several or a certain portion may be repetitive, and which is required to keep this as an individual task, to keep this as a lecture of individual task. So I would like to repeat certain things here. Collection of integrated equipment and human resources whose function is to perform one or more processing or assembly operations on a starting raw material, part or set of parts, which includes the manufacturing system. Equipment includes production machines, tools, material handling and work positioning devices, computer systems. Human resources are including either full-time or part-time or periodically human operators to keep the system running. Examples of manufacturing systems. Manufacturing system can be a single station cell, machine clusters, manual assembly lines, automated transfer lines, automated assembly system, machine cells, flexible manufacturing systems. Production machines. Let us see the components of a manufacturing system are production machines, material handling system, computer systems to coordinate or control the proceeding components, human workers to operate and manage the systems. What is this? Production system, machines. In virtually all modern manufacturing systems, most of the actual processing or assembly work is accomplished by machines with the help of certain tools. As a production machine, it can be a single processing unit or an assembly unit. Manually operated machines are controlled, supervised by human worker. A lathe is a manually operated machine tool. Semi-automated perform a portion of the work cycle under some form of program control, and a worker tend the machine and the rest of the cycle. You take semi-operated, a copy turning lathe, and other things comes under this category of semi-automated equipment, where the human intervention is reduced. Human being is required to load the part and unload the part from the machine. However, as far as operations are concerned on the part, human operator is not required. Fully automated machine operates for extended periods of time with no human intervention. And a CNC machine, the entire program is fully automated program, and all the operations are done on the work part as per the program given to the machine. Manually operated machine, you know that machine with the help of worker and tools, the machine will be operated, and which in turn process the parts. Manually operated machines are controlled or supervised by a human worker. The machine provides the power for the operation, and the worker provides the control. The entire work cycle is operator controlled. Semi-automated machine, you can see that worker and program control on a machine See, certain part is worker controlled and certain control is program control. A semi-automated machine performs a portion of the work cycle under some form of program control, and a worker tend to the machine for the remaining of the cycle. Typical worker task includes loading and unloading of parts. Fully automated. A fully automated machine is the machine operates for extended periods longer than one work cycle without worker attention. The importance of material handling in automation is in most of material manufacturing systems that process or assemble discrete parts and products, the following material handling functions must be provided. Loading work units at each workstation, positioning the work units at each workstation, unloading workstation work units at each station, and transporting work units between stations in multi-station systems, and temporary storage of work units. Work transport between the stations or between the workstations or machines. Two general categories of work transport in multi-station manufacturing systems. One is fixed routing, other one is variable routing. In fixed routing, work unit always flows through the same sequence of workstations. Most production lines exemplify this category. Variable routing is work units are moved through a variety of different station sequences. Most job shops exemplify this category. You see here fixed routing, all the machines. Fixed routing and variable routing, the parts will flow in from one to the other machines, and compulsorily all the parts will pass through all the machines, and at the end of this line you get the completed work units. In the mixed flow line, the part routings are different. The part can come and machine one here and then here and then here and then go like that. Every part has its own routing it can have, and the system of this is called as variable routing system. Computer control system. A typical computer functions in a manufacturing system comprising of communicate instructions to workers, receive processing or assembly instructions for the specific work unit, download part program to computer control machines, control material handling systems, schedule production, failure diagnostics when machine malfunctions, and preventive maintenance, safe monitoring, protect both the human operator and the equipment, quality control, direct and reject defective work units produced by the system, operations management, manage overall operations. Let us now classify the manufacturing systems accordingly. Factors that define and distinguish manufacturing systems are types of operations performed, number of workstations, system layout, automation and manning level, part or product variety. Types of operations performed. Processing operations on work unit versus assembly operations to combine individual parts into assembled entities. Types of material processed, size and weight of work units, part or product complexity. For assembled product, number of components per product. For individual parts, number of distinct operations to complete processing. Part geometry for machine parts, rotational versus non-rotational. Number of workstations, convenient measure of the size of the system. Let n is equal to number of workstations, and individual workstations can be identified by subscript I is equal to 1 to n. Affects performance factors such as workload capacity, production rate and reliability. As n increases, the U usually means greater workload capacity and higher production rate. There must be synergistic effect that derives from n multiple stations working together versus n single stations. Applies mainly to multi-station systems, fixed routing versus variable routing. In systems with fixed routing, workstations are usually arranged linearly. In systems with variable routings, a variety of layouts are possible, as we have seen in the previous figure. System layout is an important factor in determining the most appropriate type of material handling system. Classification schemes are type 1, single station n is equal to 1, usually includes a production machine that can be manually operated or semi-automated or fully automated. Type 2, multiple station with variable routing n is greater than 1, used for processing, assembling the part or product styles. Type 3, multiple stations with fixed routing which are laid as production line. Automation and manning levels. Levels of workstation automation: manually operated workstation, semi-automated or fully automated. Manning level MI is proportion of time of worker is in attending at a station I. MI, to what extent of time the worker is attending with a machine MI is called as manning level. If MI is 1, it means that the human being is 100% or continuously is engaged in the operation of that particular workstation. MI is greater than 1 indicates manual operations, more than one human is attached to that. MI is less than 1 usually denotes some form of automation. Type 1M, single station manned cell, number of workstations equal to 1 and number of human beings equal to 1, then that is called a single station manned cell. Type 1A, single station automated cell, M is less than 1. And type 2M, multi-station manual system with variable routing. Type 2A, multi-station automated system with variable routing. N is greater than 1, W is 0 and M is less than 1. Type 2H, multi-station hybrid system with variable routing. Type 3M, multi-station manual system with flexible routing. N is greater than 1 and W is greater than or equal to 1. Type 3A, multi-station automated system with fixed routing. N is greater than 1, W is equal to 0, M is less than 1. Type 3H, multi-station hybrid system with fixed routing. N is greater than 1, W is greater than or equal to 1 for some stations, W is equal to 0 for some stations, and M is greater than 0. Part or product variety, which is also called as flexibility, the degree to which the system is capable of dealing with variations in the part or products it produces. 3 cases. Single model case, all parts or products are identical, sufficient demand and fixed automation is required. Batch model case, different parts or products are produced by the system, but they are produced in batches because changeover is required. Hard product variety, which comes under hard product variety. Mixed model case, different parts or products produced by the system, but the system can handle the differences without the need of time-consuming changes in setup. You see these 3 cases of product variety in manufacturing system. This is manufacturing system. All are identical work units and completed units. Here manufacturing system, product changeover. These are one type, these are one type. And this is product changeover, and it's all output of this. And here a variety of work units. You have completed work units. You have different work units to work on that, and you have completed units of this. Enablers of flexibility. Identification of the different work units. The system must be able to identify the differences between work units in order to perform the correct processing sequence. Quick changes of operation instructions. The required work cycle programs must be readily available to control the unit. Quick changeover of the physical setup. System must be capable of changeover the fixes and tools required for the next work unit in minimum time. Manufacturing systems for medium or high product complexity. You can see here XY graph or P or Q graph, which is discussed in the first class, and Q is here and productivity is high here. You can see how the systems class Y occupies this place. This is a self-explanatory, and further explanation is not required. This is also the same. Continue the classification scheme of workstations. Single station cells, N is equal to 1, it is manual or automated. Multi-station systems with fixed routing, N is greater than 1. Typical example is production line. A multi-station system with variable routing, N is greater than 1. Single station cells, N is equal to 1. 2 categories are manned workstations, manually operated or semi-automated production machine, M is equal to 1. Fully automated machine is M is less than 1. Most widely used manufacturing systems, the reasons are easiest and least expensive to implement, most adaptive, adjustable and flexible system, can be converted to automated station if demand for part or product justifies. Multiple station or multi-station system with fixed routing. Type 2. N is greater than 1. Common example is production line. A series of workstations laid out so that the part or product moves through each station and a portion of the total work content is performed at each station. Conditions favoring the use of production lines. Quantity of work units is high. Work units are similar or identical, so similar operations are required in the same sequence. Total work content can be divided into separate tasks of approximately equal duration. Multi-station systems with variable routings, type 3, n is greater than 1, defined as a group of workstations organized to achieve some special purpose, such as production of a family of parts requiring similar processing operation. Assembly of a family of products requires similar assembly operations. Production of a complete set of components used to assemble one unit of a final product. Typical case is cellular manufacturing. Classification of single station manufacturing cell, where number of workers W is greater than or equal to 1. Hand tools and portable power tools are used. Manually operated machine is a supporting equipment. Semi-automated machine supporting equipment or fully automated equipment where number of workers is less than 1. Single station manufacturing cells, the most common manufacturing system in the industry. Operation is independent of other stations. Perform either processing or assembly operations. Can be designed for single model production, batch production, mixed model production, machining, metal forming, assembly, welding, joining, molding are the operations being performed. Single station manned cell, one worker tending one production machine, most common model. Most widely used production method, especially in job shop and batch production environments. Reasons for popularity is short time to implement, require least capital investment, easiest to install and operate, typically the lower unit cost for low production, most flexible for product or part changeovers. Single station manned cell examples. Worker operating a standard machine tool. Worker loads and unloads parts, operates machine is manually operated. Worker operating semi-automatic machine. Worker loads, unloads parts, starts semi-automatic work cycle. Worker attention not required continuously during the entire work cycle. Worker using hand tools or portable power tools at one location. Variations of single station manned cell. 2 workers required to operate the machines. 2 workers required to manipulate heavy forging at a forging press. Welder and fitter in arc welding workshop. They are all examples. 1 principal production machine plus supporting equipment comes under this category only. Drying equipment for a manually operated injection molding machine is an example. Trimming shears at a impression die forge hammer to trim flash from forged part is another example. Single station automated cell. Fully automated production system capable of operating unattended for longer than one work cycle. Worker not required except for periodic tending. Reasons why it is important: our labor cost is reduced, easiest and least expensive automated system to implement, production rates usually higher than manned cycle, first step in implementing an integrated multi-station automated system. Enablers for unattended cell operation. For single model and batch model production, programmed operation of for all steps in work cycle, part storage subsystem, automatic loading, unloading and transfer between part storage subsystem and machine, periodic attention of worker for removal of finished work units, resupply of starting work units and other machine tending, built-in safeguards to avoid self-destructive operation or damage to work units or unsafe to workers. Enablers for unattended cell operation for mixed model production. All of the preceding enablers plus work unit identification, automatic identification, sensor that recognize alternative features of starting units. If starting units are the same, work unit identification is unnecessary. Capability to download programs for each work unit style. Capability for changeover of physical setup. Part storage subsystem and automatic part transfer are necessary conditions for unattended operation. Given a capacity n is equal to np parts in the storage subsystem, the cell can theoretically operate for a time ut is equal to np into tc, where ut is equal to unattended time of operation. In reality, unattended time will be less than ut because the worker needs time to unload finished parts and load raw part into storage subsystem. Typical objectives in defining the desired part storage capacity NP is make NP into TC a fixed time interval that allow one worker to tend multiple machines. Make NP into TC is equal to time between scheduled tool changes. Make NP into TC is equal to one complete shift. Make NP into TC is equal to one overnight or lights out operation. The time of unattended operations increases directly with storage capacity. If there is an advantage to designing the storage subsystem with sufficient capacity to satisfy the plant's operation objectives. Storage capacity of one part, example 2-position automatic pallet changer APC, with no pallet changer, work cycle elements of loading, unloading and processing would be performed sequentially. TC is equal to TM plus TS, where TM is equal to machine time and TS is equal to workstation time, and TC is cycle time. With pallet changer, the work cycle elements can be performed simultaneously to TC is equal to maximum of TM or TS plus TR. TR is repositioning time. You see, in a CNC machining center, this automatic pallet changer takes few seconds of time to change the workpiece from the unload position to loading position, and similarly loading position to unload position. So work changeover times, workpiece setup time is almost negligible. Storage capacity greater than 1. Machining centers, various design of parts storage unit interface to automatic pallet changers. So this is one automatic pallet changer where one part is loaded onto the machine, another part can be made setup. With a single command, the setting part can be changed to the loading part. Turning centers, industrial robot interface with the parts carousel system. Plastic molding or extrusion. Hopper contains sufficient molding components for unattended operation. Sheet metal stamping. Starting material is sheet metal coil. This is one CNC machine where storage capacity greater than 1. Machining center and automatic pallet changers with pallet holders arranged radially. Part storage capacity is equal to 5. Storage capacity is greater than 2. You can see this is a CNC machine where stored on various pallets. They are all pallet holders and the shuttle track, and the pallets moves on the shuttle track. Machining center and inline shuttle car system with pallet holders along its length. The typical storage capacity of this pallet holders, number of pallet holders is equal to 16, and pallet holders in a circular way or indexing way. Machining center with pallets held on indexing table, part storage capacity is 6 here. Machining center parts storage carousel with parts loaded onto pallets, part storage capacity is equal to 12. In this figure you can see this. Application of single station manned cells, CNC machining center with worker to load unload, CNC turning center with worker to unload and load, cluster of 2 CNC turning centers with time sharing of one worker to load and unload, plastic injection molding on semi-automatic cycle with worker to unload molding, sprue and runner, one worker at electronics subassembly workstation inserting components into PCBs, stamping press with one worker loading blanks and unloading stamps in each cycle. These are all examples of that. Applications of single station automated cells, CNC machine with APC and part storage subsystem, CNC turning center with robot and part storage carousel, cluster of 10 CNC Turning centers with robot and part storage carousel and time sharing of one worker to loading, unload the carousels, plastic injection molding on automated cycle, etc. CNC machining center, machine tool capable of performing multi operations that use rotary tools on a work part in one setup under NC control is called as machining center, where number of tools are arranged in tool magazine. Typical operations that are performed are milling, drilling, counter boring, counter sinking, etc. and related operations. Typical features to reduce non-productive time on ATC on machining centers are automatic tool changer, automatic work part position system, automatic pallet changer. If a CNC machining center is equipped with these three facilities, its changeover times are very fast. Horizontal machining center with APC and ATC facility. This is an ATC facility, automatic tool changer facility, and this is an automatic pallet changer facility. Turning center. You can see this is the turning center. Turret of tools are held on this turret head, and you can view this through this window. Automated stamping press. This is an automated stamping press. The required stamp press on automatic cycle producing stamping from sheet to metal coil, like the coining machine and other things. CNC mill turn center, machine tool capable of performing multiple operations either with. Now let us see CNC mill turn center and analyze with respect to cases what we had. Machine tool capable of performing multiple operations either with a single point turning tools or rotating cutters in one setup under NC control. This is a CNC mill turn center. And typical operations being performed on this CNC mill turn center are turning, milling, drilling and related operations. Enabling features are capability to control position of C axis in addition to X and Z axis control. You see here this is this typical part being produced on a mill turn center. Here we have turning features of this part, and these are the milling features. Sequence of operations of a mill turn center, for example part. How to do? Turning tool is used to turn these components, and milling cutter is used to mill this thing, and a drill bit is used to cut this, and the cut off tool. Turn smaller diameter, mill flat with part in programmed angular position, 4 positions for square cross section, drill hole and cut off the machine piece. Number of workstations needed are 2. Number of semi-automatic machines in a cluster that an operator can tend. Now let us see the availability and utilization of this. AT is available time. Available time is T into A into U, whereas T is actual clock time during the period, and A is availability and U is utilization. And starting quantity or quantity produced is Q. Q is normally Q naught into 1 minus small q. Small q is scrap rate. If you consider the defective rate or scrap rate, fractional scrap rate, then the initial quantity that are required to produce quantity Q is Q naught. Hence, Q divided by 1 minus Q is the initial quantity that you are required. For example, you wanted to produce 100 units, then Q is equal to 100 units with a scrap rate of 10%. Then 100 divided by 0.9, the Q naught. Workload is now calculated as WL is equal to Q into TC divided by EW into 1 minus Q. So it is nothing but Q naught into TC by E naught, EW. EW is worker efficiency and TC is cycle time, and that is how the workload is calculated. Worker efficiency and defective rate, the number of work units actually completed by the worker in a given time period divided by the number of units that would be produced at standard performance, we can calculate. For example, standard performance is 40 pieces in 8-hour shift. Worker is producing 48 pieces per shift. Worker efficiency is 48 by 40 is 120%. The fraction of the parts produced that are defective. If the process is known to produce parts at a certain average scrap rate, then the starting batch size is increasing by scrap allowance to compensate for the defective parts. Workload calculations, model considerations when producing product type J, machine availability is A, utilization is U, and operator efficiency is EWJ, and fractional defective rate is QJ. Let QJ will be the quantity of product type J to be produced during a machine time, and TCJ be the standard cycle time per piece of product type J. Then workload is the production of all product types, and quantities is WL is equal to sigma of J QJ TCJ by EWJ to 1 minus small qj. WL1 for where 1 minus qj is known as process yield. Number of workstations required in that is T is the clock time allowed for production, then the availability time is AT is defined as A U into T. The number of workstations N needed to satisfy the production requirement N is equal to WL by A into T, or already as we have calculated this WL is equal to sigma QJ TCJ divided by EWJ 1 minus small qj by A into U into T. And we can now have a small example. In example 1, let us discuss with the concept what we have discussed so far. With respect to that, let us solve this problem. The problem is future production requirements in a machine shop call for several automatic bar machines to be acquired to produce 3 new parts A, B and C that have been added to the shop's product line. Annual quantities and cycle times for the 3 parts are given in the table below. The machine shop operates one 8-hour shift for 250 days per year. The machines are expected to be 95% reliable and utilization is 85% and scrap rate is 3%. How many automatic bar machines will be required to meet the specific annual demand for the new 3? So the demand for all the part A, B, C, D are given, and the machining time is given, and operator efficiency is also given here. And we can now calculate N is equal to as said by the formula and WL by AT, and which is here, and we can calculate N is equal to in this by substituting all the values given there, and we get 11 workstations. 10.6, but the 10.6 is equated to 11 workstations. Example 2, a plastic injection molding plant will be built to produce 6 million molded parts per year. The plant will run 3 8-hour shifts per day, 5 days per week and 50 weeks per year. For planning purpose, the average order size is 55,000 moldings. Average changeover time between orders is 6 hours, and average molding cycle time per part is 30 seconds. Assume scrap rate is equal to 2%, and average uptime portion reliability per molding machine is 97%, which applies to both processing time and changeover time. The operator efficiency is 1.2 for setups and 0.9 for processing. How many molding machines are required in the new plant? This is a very good production example, and let us see how to do that. The capacity of the plant is determined by setup and processing. So N can be calculated as WL by A into T, and where WL is equal to WL into setup SU plus W into run. We can say number of setups is equal to 60 lakhs divided by 5,000. 1200 setups are required, and WL setup is equal to 1200 into 6 into 1 by 1.2, which is 6,000 hours per year it will take. And WL for run also in the same way you can calculate, which is going to be 56,690 hours per hour. So AT is calculated based on this, and we can use assuming U is equal to utilization is equal to 1, and therefore N can be calculated as WL by A into T, and we get it is 10.77, and it is equal to 7 molding machines. Like this, we can extend this this kind of problems we can discuss for calculating the number of workstations required, giving the production rates, setup costs, setup times, and scrap rates, etc., etc. And we have other things also here. When the machine is in a single station, does not require the continuous attention of a worker. It's a semi-automatic machine cycle. An opportunity exists to assign more than one machine to the worker. The workstation is still classified as a type 1M, but m is reduced from m is equal to 1 to m is equal to 1 by n is equal to number of machines assigned to the worker. Consider a collection of single workstations all producing same parts, operating the same semi-automatic machine cycle time. Tm is equal to cycle time and ts is service time, and machine is never idle, and tr is repositioning time, and tc is equal to tm plus ts. In case 2 n2 is equal to maximum integer greater than n, the machine will have idle time, and the cycle time of the machine cluster will be the time it takes for the worker to service the n2 machines. So CPC n2 is equal to CL plus CM into n2 plus into TS plus TR. And with this we can do the example 3, which is leaving it to you as a self-explanatory. So in this lecture we have discussed the automation, the concept of automation, how automation is implemented in a manufacturing system, various levels of automation, how the manufacturing system is classified based upon automation, and manually operated and semi-automation, automation, etc. And we have also thoroughly discussed the number of workstations required when number of operators and other things are based on that we have calculated certain workstations, and we did some numerical problems also to know the effect of automation and semi-automation and other things, etc.